Meredith Marsh, I am so excited to have you on the channel. How you doing?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me.
I was going to say something like, long-term watcher, first-time caller. But I don't know. Didn't make any sense when I was planning it. It didn't really make any sense when I said. But no, I'm really excited you're here. When I reached out to Meredith, I said, there's just several things I wanted to just get her take on because I have just mad respect for her and especially in this space. Been doing it for quite a while. So we're going to be talking about some of the new YouTube features that they've rolled out, video podcasting that we both do. Hint, Meredith is better at it, and AI tools and features and kind of our take on it like that. But before we dive into all that, give everybody just, kind of a snapshot of your background and even how and why you started on YouTube.
Okay, so this is always a hard question because I'm like, where do I start exactly, right?
I was a small
Um,
child in a
yes,
cabin.
I'm an elder millennial. So my background is actually in web design. I was a freelance web designer for a few years, and then I took a job as an in-house web designer. And then while I was at that job, I was like trying to figure out, okay, how do I get myself back out to where I'm like working for myself again? So I was already kind of in the world of online stuff and just started learning content creation. I already knew SEO.
Mm,
So I was like, I guess people just make content and somehow that like turns into a business, I guess. Like I guess that's what I'm seeing happen. So I waited for a niche to find me, as I like to say. I bought a GoPro camera one day and I sent my kids outside with it. They were little at the time, and I made this little video of them. When I showed it to them, they were like in just awe of seeing themselves in this little video. And I thought, why don't more people make little videos like this?
mm,
Thus, I went down this whole rabbit hole of SEO research to see, wait, maybe no one is teaching people how to make videos like this. So I started a blog and a channel, basically like how to use a GoPro camera, how to edit
mhm.
GoPro videos, and then evolved from there. So that was 10 years ago that I started publishing every week while I had that full-time job. And eventually the full-time job went away. They changed what they were doing, got rid of my position,
Mm.
and I had already started the online thing. It wasn't like anywhere near full time, like
Yeah.
revenue, but I had already had like the foundation. So I just kind of kept going with it.
So I think that's interesting, and I hope people catch that. It's like you had started because I've shared your story before. Here's the funny thing: I've shared your story before because I think I'd heard you talk about the GoPro part before and how you kind of started to help people with GoPro. I didn't do deep research because I liked the story so much. I didn't want to find out if it was wrong. It's like, no, wait, that wasn't my story. So thank you for validating that.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting for people to pick up on that. You started it, you still had a full-time job. Eventually,
Mhm.
the job went away, and I think as you say in your bio, they went away, which is very similar to mine. People are like, "Why did you leave?" And I said, "Well, they kinda left me." I mean, I
Yeah.
knew it was coming, but they kinda left me.
Yeah. I like to say they broke up with me first.
Yeah,
Like
there you
I
go.
was ready to break up with them, but they broke up with me first.
Yeah, and isn't that funny? Because, it's easy, I think, I speak for me, it's easy to get comfortable. I mean, I made a really nice salary, more than I should have, great benefits, good team in an industry I really loved. I love television. Um, but at the same time, you get there's the trappings of that.
Hmm.
And, I loved hanging around my creative team far more than managing, which was obvious in my reviews every year. But I digress. But I think it's interesting though that because you had been, I'll call it dabbling
Hmm.
and doing YouTube, then it sounds like, wow, you already had some foundation there to keep going. Is that accurate?
Exactly. Yes. 100%.
So what's your then advice for somebody in that same situation? They're holding down a full-time job and they're interested in this YouTube thing of which they've heard about?
Um, you know, well, YouTube has changed a lot in the last 10 years.
Mm,
But I still think that long form content is still the bread and butter of how, if you want to grow like a sustainable thing, long form is long term.
mm,
And, back when I did it, my kids were, I think, like 3 and 7 or something like that. And I had to just sort of chunk out my time for like every week. So I published one video a week. I think the first video I published was a Thursday. So I was like, I guess I upload on Thursdays now. That's my schedule. And so by Wednesday, the video had to be ready to go. So by Tuesday, I had to have it edited. So by Monday, it had to be recorded. So on the weekend, every Sunday, I would like look at my list of topics and go, what do I feel like creating? What do I have time to create this week?
mm,
Um, and it was like, what can I fit into my life? And I just chunked it up every day. So sometimes it was after the kids went to bed. Sometimes they were happy to have cereal for dinner while I was tinkering on my, computer editing something. And, I just made it work because I was also like one of those people that will start something and then as soon as it gets like hard or I like forget about it or
mm,
you know I- then it just kind of goes away. And for this I was like I wanted to find success, meaning like work for myself and figure this out. I wanted to find that so bad that I was like, I know if I stop, if I miss a week, then I'm not going to pick it back up again. It's just like exercise.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
the week that I forget to go to the gym, like I'm never going back. So I didn't want to do that with this. So I really kind of I don't want to say force myself, but I kind of forced myself to like even when there was a busy week,
mm,
publish something.
something. Yeah,
Even if it's just me saying, I don't have time to make something, but if I don't, then I'll never come back, you know?
yeah,
And I kind of promised myself I'm going to do this every week for a year and then see how did it go?
mm,
Did I like it? Was it successful? And I didn't even know what I wasn't even measuring success. I was just like, let's publish every day for a year and see what happens. So, making it fit into your life is just something you have to prioritize. Um, at the time I was like, I did a lot of volunteering in my church. I did a lot of volunteering for a nonprofit organization. And I just was like, I'm gonna do something else now. See ya.
yeah,
And so I didn't like deprioritize my family and things like
mm,
that. I deprioritized the outside stuff that was asking for my like creative attention
mm.
and things like that and was like, no, I'm gonna work on my own thing.
Did you enjoy creating while you were creating?
Yeah, I did.
The
I
reason
think
I
so.
ask that is because I think that's a huge part of it that I don't you don't hear talked about a lot that I think
Mhm.
is vital. I
Yeah,
mean, it's it's like going to the gym. One of the reasons I don't go to the gym is because I don't like
I
going to
don't
the
want to.
gym. It's the reason I gave up golf. Besides sucking at it, I didn't like it.
Yeah,
Not putt-putt. I love putt-putt, but the big golf.
yeah.
But if you're not enjoying it, but when you're enjoying it, I think sometimes that is a thing that can keep you going. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And for me, I was learning as I went. So, which is like, if you're learning as you go, that also takes time.
Mm. Mhm.
um, so part of it was, I think, the excitement of learning this new thing, trying this new editing thing. I was using Premiere Pro at the time, so
Mm.
there's always a learning curve. If you're going to try
Yeah.
something new. And so I just tried to kind of systematize everything so that I had like the space in my brain to learn something new or try something new. So I think what I enjoyed the most was the learning of it and just um, when you only have a little bit of time to create the content, you can, I think, kind of zone all of the other, like, overthinking out.
Nice.
I did a lot of overthinking before I started creating the content for, like, a year. I've tried to figure out what I was gonna do. But once I sort of hit the ground running, it was just like, "Don't worry about that, just upload another video, just upload
Mm,
another
yeah.
video." And I overthink a lot more now, but at the time, it was like, just have fun, create something you feel like creating, have fun learning it, and just keep, one step at a time, just keep going.
I like that. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you say still at this stage of your career you overthink because it's just easy. And sometimes it's
Yeah.
comfortable. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I'll keep, I'll keep thinking. It's just like, dude, just do it. Just go, go, go,
Mhm.
go. You
Mhm.
spent too much time on this, period. All right. So recently, YouTube, well, it depends on when you watch this, but at one point, YouTube announced it was like over 20 something features. I just thought about this. It's almost kind of like they announced so many. It's kind of like we're going to overwhelm you with
Yeah,
features because YouTube doesn't have a 100% completion rate of everything they announce.
right.
Some things get delayed, some things never get rolled out, some things get pulled back. Like thumbnail A/B testing. Goodness, they announced it and then months and months
Mhm.
and months and months to where you would ask questions and they would just kind of ignore it. But this was a slew of things, and for me, there was a lot in there that was just like, really, who asked for this? Who wants this? But then there were some cool things. But I'd like to hear your take on the features, those that maybe really jumped out to you, why you're excited about, and then maybe those that's like, really, what in the world are you thinking?
Well, since I don't do a lot of YouTube Shorts, some of the features around YouTube Shorts, I'm like, "Yeah, okay, that's cool," but, like, whatever. Um, so, also, like, I feel like last year, so 2024, they announced, like, 30 new features, and then some of them just came out, like the hype button.
Yeah.
Or,
Oh yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, the hype button." And the hype button just actually became a thing. They announced it a year ago. So, with the new wave of announcements, I'm like, "Yeah, okay, we'll see what rolls out and when and what it actually does." Um, I like the collaboration feature seems really interesting to me. I feel like they should have done that, like, a long time ago, or
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done that a long time ago. And I'm intrigued by being able to insert your own
Oh
ads.
yes.
That sounds really interesting to me because that sounds a lot like dynamic ad insertion with podcasting.
Mhm.
And so I think that's a really interesting move. I'm really curious how that'll work or if it'll be, something that's easy or even like worth the time and money to even mess with.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about that one. I think that's really interesting.
Um, yeah, and I wanna touch on some of those too. I was kinda the same way with shorts. I'm not surprised that there were so many shorts thing there because it's just YouTube just, you know, by golly, we're gonna make you love shorts.
Yeah.
And, I know, I've done videos on this and I'd love to get your take on the shorts too, but, I just got to a point I never enjoyed vertical video. I came from 16 by 9. Actually, I came from square video and then I went to 16 by 9 because it's hip to be square, Meredith. But I just never got into the vertical thing ever. I don't enjoy watching it. I did not enjoy producing for it at all. And I felt like I was doing shorts just because one, I was supposed to, because that's what everybody said do, and you got to do that. And two, I started really chasing views. Now, granted, I love when people watch and I love when people comment. And then yeah, when people subscribe, that's great too. But I felt like that was my core motivation. So I just unlisted them.
Mhm.
And I know we were talking offline before we started. You said you've got one short on your channel, but kind of where are you right now in the world of vertical, especially YouTube Shorts?
Well, I like vertical content as a consumer. Like, I like scrolling TikTok, but I'm very aware that I'm just like doom scrolling TikTok. I don't go there to learn something.
Mhm.
And I think it depends a little on the business model.
Mm.
Like, so I go really hard on my own, digital products, courses, membership. And so I don't want doom scrollers. I want people who are like, no, I'm looking to figure this out. I'm looking to solve this problem. How do I make YouTube videos? How do I edit
Yeah.
YouTube videos? Um, and so I have a hard time like investing time, energy at all when I could be putting that into the long form. When, it's like, I don't know. It feels like for me, I have to look at it like an investment. But one thing I keep thinking I'm gonna try, like it's at the top of my to-do list and I keep ignoring it, is to respond to comments with a short.
Mm.
And I don't really see people doing that, but it is a feature.
Yeah.
And one of these days I'm gonna respond to a comment with a short. I also am intrigued by, if I get into using YouTube ads to not promote the channel, but to
Mhm.
promote digital products and things. I think shorts is probably a good place to be doing that. But I don't like repurposed long form content into shorts.
Yeah.
Like that's mostly what I was doing when I unlisted almost all of my shorts. And I just thought, these are really bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't why am I asking people to even watch this?
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
bad. So I just stopped repurposing the content. I think for shorts to work, they have to be really, short form production
Yeah.
type stuff, which is like super snappy stuff on the screen. And so it's not like I don't think they work or like people shouldn't do them, but I think it's a matter of where you invest your time. And for me,
Yeah.
I don't think it's really where I want to invest my time. And I don't think what you see in your shorts analytics with like views, because like I have clients and students who are like, oh, but I got 1,000 views in 2 hours. And I'm like, what happened in hour three? Oh, no, zero. Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So I think YouTube has done a good job of kind of like skewing and giving you, the creator, that dopamine hit of like,
Yeah.
wow, this is blowing up. And then it stops. And so instead of thinking, wait, are they messing with me? You go, oh, I need to make another short.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thus, this whole thing continues.
Yeah. And there are people that blow up with shorts. They love shorts. That's what they want to produce. And good for them. Um I will always maintain that you're rarely going to build a relationship with somebody very quickly. I always use coffee shop analogies because one, I like coffee, but it's like, if we're going to meet for coffee and we're going to meet, you know, for a minute to talk about something serious, we're probably not going to get too deep into it.
Right.
As opposed to, hey, let's grab coffee for an hour and talk, and then we can. It's more relational that
Hmm.
way. Well, hey there, it's Kevin, and I'm interrupting the interview just to tell you about the sponsor of today's video. It's Riverside. It is super simple to use for almost anything you'd want to produce video for, like this video podcast interview you're watching. Now, some of the features I really appreciate in Riverside is what I get after the interview is over. Like, for example, the AI tools. When I click on it, what I use a lot is Magic Audio, which also just cleans everything up. Smart Mute, which what it does is it mutes the person that's not talking in case I cough in the middle of something. And probably my favorite of the AI tools, Smart Layouts. It's like having a virtual director that's going between me and my guest without me doing anything. That way I can focus on the interview, and then after the fact, it will cut automatically between myself and my guest. And another cool tool, Magic Segments. So if you have a longer video or interview, the Riverside tool can go in and pick highlights from that and create separate videos from the longer video that then you can also post those as separate videos too. Why don't you check it out? And if you want to, I've hooked you up with a 15% discount on any paid plan. Use my code Kevin Colby. There's a link below. Thanks for Riverside for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the interview. Well, one of the features that I wanted to get your take on, there's actually a couple you did not mention. So I had 4 written down that to me were the more notable. One was collabs.
Hmm.
I agree. It's kind of like, guys, why did this take so long to turn on? I mean, really? It's smart. And in fact, I think I just got it recently, and I just activated it last night on a couple of interviews. It's a little awkward process to go through,
Hmm.
kind of. But I like it a lot. And I do like the fact that, in fact, I think the first time it showed up for me was on a Colin Samir interview with, oh, I can't think of who it was. Kari, the lady that does all the crazy stunt
Mm.
things, and it says Colin Samir and Michelle Kari,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then they just did it with the Diary of a CEO guy.
Yeah. That's the one that I noticed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I like it, and I also like the fact that whoever starts the collab, you can share the analytics. I don't know if you've seen that, but it doesn't share revenue. And
Right.
I'm okay with that because you
Hmm.
could always do a split later if you wanted to.
Right.
So I do like that feature a lot. We'll see where it goes. To me, it's one of those things that they could easily turn off at some point. I don't think it would impact us because we'll go in one day and it'll just go, oh, there's my name. I don't see the other
Right.
person's name.
Yeah.
Um, the other one I think probably one of my favorite features they announced was the ad insertion for exactly what you said. I honestly, I think this could if it works, if it works the way they promise, I think it has huge potential for creators with their videos because a lot of times we do a video and it takes some time for that video to grow. Well, if you've locked that sponsorship in, and all of a sudden 3 months later, that video's over 100,000 views, that sponsor got a deal, and they're
Hmm.
gonna be there forever.
Right.
So I like, being able to put a limit on it and being able to kind of sell your own products because I know
Hmm.
you have memberships, you have courses, you have digital products. And from what I understand, I heard somebody talking about it the other day, it sounds like the way it's gonna work, it is gonna take some work to decide for you to tell YouTube, "Here's where I want the ad." But once it's locked in, then it's easy just to change
Hmm.
it out. And evidently, it's also, what do you call it, retro. So you can go back same thing with collabs. You can go back
Hmm.
to a video 2 years ago, and it's available.
Yeah.
So I do like that because I think the potential, unless they really screw it up, is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that because, I you you might create something today that, oh, oh, my audience is very interested in this thing, and you didn't know until you
Yeah.
talked about it. And maybe you want to put together I like to put together cheat sheets and checklists and things like that. If you could go back and insert like, hey, I put together a checklist for this. It's a
Yes.
good way to build your list. Um, but there's business evolves, like you evolve, your channel evolves.
Mhm.
And so to be able to go back and insert things as, ads, if it's an ad, if it's just a little like, "Hey, it's Meredith here from the future. I got something for you."
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. I don't work a lot with brands, but I can see how it can potentially really kind of disrupt that in a good way for
Yeah.
creators. Um, because you can kind of like it's another uh negotiation point,
Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, I think that's really great, and like you said, like, who knows how it's going to actually
Mhm.
turn out. But I love the idea of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the 2 you didn't mention, so I'll bring up and get your take on it. One is I'm a little on the fence about it. I went from like, "Oh, that's kinda cool," to like, was, the Ask Studio feature that
Mm,
they've mentioned.
yeah.
And if somebody's watching at home and they haven't heard of this, the idea is you're gonna have like an AI bot, which I've got a whole feeling about anyway, that lives inside your studio that supposedly is there to serve you based on your channel. So you can ask it anything about a video, your analytics, whatever. And the answer should be pertaining to your channel. It's not like having a live, person to talk to. What's your take on that? What was your feeling about that?
Um, I think it's interesting because I think similar to, it's kind of like if you don't know what to ask that chatbot, then, you know, w- then it's probably not going to be very effective for you. It's kind of like, why do you hire a YouTube strategist or somebody to like look at your analytics or something? Because they know what they're looking at. They know what to ask of the analytics,
True.
right? And so I think it'll be interesting. I also like YouTube already in the studio tries to tell you like, "Oh, you should make a video on this or
Mhm.
that," or it already makes those recommendations, and I look at those and I'm like, "Those are all garbage. Thanks for your input, but no, it's not happening."
Yeah.
And because I think it's looking at other similar channels,
Mm,
and it might be like, it's sort of cobbling together these ideas, and some are okay, but some are like, where did that come
yeah,
from,
they're just not good.
So I really have to wonder like what the AI bot is going to say or suggest
Yeah.
or, recommend. There's a I think you I think there sometimes is a tendency to be so obsessed with the numbers that you forget that the numbers are based on human behavior.
Bingo.
The viewers are watching, those are human beings, and sometimes you really need to just look at it like a human and realize the data is coming from other humans
Yeah.
and not make decisions solely based on the numbers that you see. Because I think that's kind of what YouTube where their recommendations in the
Yeah.
studio are coming from now.
Yeah. That's a great point. I at one point I was pretty excited about the inspiration tab. I actually did a video on it, and I got beta access to what it will be, what they're rolling out, and I hot mess kind of comes to mind. It just the things it was generating, I'm like, how usable really is this? And I just found that more times than not, it wasn't that helpful. So yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're going in there like, I got this feature, what do I do? Well, it's not going to sit there and go, well, here, ask me this, ask me this, ask me
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
Um, the other feature that I think is huge is likeness detection.
Yeah.
Um, and again, for those of you keeping score at home, if you don't know what we're talking about, this is where again it's supposedly using AI, but it's if it works as advertised, if somebody uses your likeness, which can become more and more possible, sadly, and they upload a deep fake, whatever you want to call it, AI is going to, I mean, YouTube is going to have the ways to detect that. And whether we get alerted or they automatically do a takedown, I'm sure we'll get alerted so we can say, yeah, that's totally
Mhm.
fake. So you seem to have a really good reaction to that. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I love again, like, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
How will it be implemented? Who knows? Um, I like this a lot, especially I mean, as a creator, yes, but also as a consumer of the content. I think as AI generated video gets more and more, um, more better. Well, it's not great grammar, but so that's how you know I'm a human. I'm not a robot.
Be a good
But as
T-shirt.
it gets
More better.
more better, yeah, more human, more better. As it gets better and harder for us as humans to detect that it's AI, I like that they're introducing something like this
Mm,
to just to protect us so that I know that,
yeah.
oh, I am really watching a video that Kevin made and not some other thing. Um, which is, I think, huge on like TikTok. There's a lot of
Mhm.
deep fakes, I guess you could, call it. And people don't know. And it's hard, even especially with people that I don't normally watch their content. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't pick up on like a mannerism
Mhm.
or a
Mhm.
phrase or something that they wouldn't normally say. And so I'm excited for that for both the creator and the consumer. But again, how is it gonna work?
Yeah.
That's the
I
question.
I Mike Rowe, I love Mike Rowe, and he dropped a video, I don't know, recently. If I can find it, I'll link to it below this, where he was deep faked with an ad,
Mm.
and it's remarkably good. And it was basically for a product and a contest giveaway. And so what was happening is people were entering thinking that Mike Rowe and
Mhm.
the product and all this stuff, and just like, what a mess.
And by the time anything could be done about it, the damage is done,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wonder how quick YouTube will be able to detect
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That's
get
true.
something actually done.
So let's shift gears to video podcasting to podcasting. I know that you have a video podcast, also a podcast. So for you, which came first? The podcast, the video podcast? Were you podcasting that switched and started adding video? Just kind of what was your thinking there?
My thinking, I had lots of overthinking. So YouTube came out with their YouTube podcasts, and
Hmm.
I thought, oh, this is interesting. This is a YouTube feature that I want to know more about. So, and I create long form videos anyway. So, um, what I did was it's partially an experiment of YouTube podcasts. It's partially an experiment of, I the podcast called Video Brand Infusion, and it's on my channel. Just it didn't start a whole new channel. I just started publishing them on the channel. So it's partly a sort of compartmentalized. It's like a new category of content.
Mm,
So I'm talking more about like business, growing your business with YouTube, and that's not really my regular YouTube content. So same overlap audience, like it's not completely different. So it's a little bit of a new category, new format,
hmm.
but it's just me talking to the camera. Like it's not it's just like this. It's really very much like a regular YouTube video. It just goes in the podcast playlist and then I upload the video to Buzzsprout and it turns it into an MP3 and then it goes out to the regular podcast platform. So
So you are distributing it through Buzzsprout, which is a
mhm,
service, to
mhm.
the other
Yeah,
podcast platforms like Spotify,
yeah,
Apple, and the other ones, correct?
yeah. So I upload it to YouTube and then I upload it to Buzzsprout, the same file. And so it's a little bit of an experiment. I really also kind of craved the the form. This is where the overthinking comes in. I kind of craved a format similar to yours where I just show up and talk to the camera. Not that there's more to it than just that, right?
Yeah.
But like I just was like, what if I just sit here and talk about a specific topic? And I could have done that without starting a podcast. Like it could have just been a regular YouTube video, but because it was a new feature on
Mhm.
YouTube and because it's kind of a hot topic in the podcasting space.
Mhm.
Um, so I was like, it was sort of like a perfect storm for me. And so that's what I did. And it's going really well for me. I think podcast downloads, I think the last time I looked, I did a video on this a couple months ago. After it had been a year, I had something like 80 something thousand views on the
Mm.
podcast videos on YouTube and like 2,600 downloads. So huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, going back to the shorts thing, I like to look at things like what is worth the investment of time. I wouldn't say that putting the video podcast episodes on Buzzsprout and like taking the extra steps to do all of that
Yeah.
is necessarily worth the time, but it's so easy.
Mhm.
And the people who there are people who really like to consume podcast
Mhm.
content, and so it's a little bit of a service to those people in my audience who want to see me in their podcast
Yeah.
player, not see me, but hear me in their podcast player. So it's worth it in that sense, but it's not like the podcast side of it has it's not it's not like a huge asset to the
Right.
business. It's kind of like just an extra step that I do to reach the people who want to consume my content in a podcast player.
I am curious why you chose not to start another channel for the podcast, because I know of creators that will do that and the podcast may be completely different than what they normally talk about. But then I've also seen creators do it, and I watch or listen to it, however you want to look at it. And it's like, I tell me why that wouldn't have fit on your channel.
Right.
So what
Yeah.
why did you decide just to keep everything on your channel?
Um, I think so. I thought that there was enough of an overlap. It's a little bit of a different topic. We're talking more about like the marketing and the business side of video stuff, whereas my regular videos are like how to use Descript, how to edit this or whatever. Um, so and because I started creating content around how to use a GoPro camera, the channel itself is already like a little bit of a hot mess, not completely, but it's a little bit of a mishmash.
Yeah.
Still within the concept of like video, but not super niche down. So I guess it was like, well, it can't hurt. And I wasn't trying to um I guess there was just enough of an overlap where I was like, I want the people who are interested in the business side to get these videos without me having to be like, "Oh, launch this new thing, go over here," and
Mm,
continue like trying
yeah.
to send people somewhere else. And I'm glad that I went that route. I don't think it's hurt anything. It's also like I don't this is the overthinking. I don't want a podcast where I have like 18 subscribers or a channel where I have 18 subscribers where I'm talking about growing your business with YouTube because then it's like with 18 subscribers, like really?
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah.
there's a little bit of credibility when you
Yeah.
have 90,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Not do you know what I mean? Like
No,
that's an
yeah.
overthinking thing. That's an ego thing, really.
Yeah.
But that definitely went into my thinking.
Well, but I think that's valid too, because if you're trying to attract a certain person and they're basing it on, well, you're teaching me this, but it doesn't look like you've got the proof, even though your background may be deep and deep and deep in
Right.
it, because you and I both know there's so much more than just a subscriber count.
For sure.
But yeah, it can be that. And I think what people don't get, because I get this in people that I coach, is that, you know, it it sounds so easy just to start a second channel, maybe even a
Mhm.
third channel. Because I like to cook and I like to hike and I like macrame. Well, you know, if it's just you, like most of us, something's gonna give.
Mhm.
And and I think people don't get that. It's like, well, I'll just start this over here. And I think it's easier to give up on the one that, yeah, you're just kind of trying it. There's nothing wrong with experimenting. So I like that. I mean, I look, I think you're great at just sitting and talking. I mean, I think it works perfect. I think it fits everything you do. So it doesn't surprise me that you went that route. And the same thing, it's kind of like, I've already been on this channel for me for this long. I just don't want to start another channel just for a video podcast
Right.
when I can do this, unless I want to do something completely 100% different,
Mhm.
but it wouldn't be my core
Yeah.
that way.
Mhm.
The other thing too, and I like you to speak on this, is that to me, it's extra exposure. It's now granted, I don't think every video should check mark and be a podcast. I've probably added some to the podcast player that in hindsight, I don't know. But, it does give you extra exposure inside the YouTube ecosystem that I think can actually help you grow, whether your business or your personal brand or whatever. Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think so. I don't have any data to back that up, but I do think that, I am a huge fan of audio podcasters deciding I'm going to turn my camera on and make this a video.
I agree.
And I think you can greatly increase your reach if
Yep.
you were only doing audio to then moving to video. And I do think it can be as simple as just turning on your webcam.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be fancy editing or anything. You don't even have to look at the camera. And I still think it could be very effective. Um, well, I do notice though, like you mentioned, not every video needs to become a audio podcast. I feel like more and more the audio podcasts I listen to are referencing things visually on the screen.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wait, 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 wait. Okay, I love the idea of an audio podcaster going to video, but we can't go so far to video that
Yeah.
now I'm listening to the audio and I don't know what you're looking at. And
Yeah.
even just the slightest description of what we're seeing on the screen that I'm not seeing would be helpful. And so I can definitely tell that audio podcasters are going to video only just because of that,
Yeah.
because they're referencing things. But I think there's going to have to be, a balance there
Yeah.
of wait, is this going to be helpful for people who are just listening and or not
Yeah.
or so it's good for me like creatively to have that constraint because I will often think like, "Oh, I wanna show this. I could show this." And then I'll go, "No, wait. Don't show it because the audio podcast can't
Yeah.
see it."
Yeah.
So it's a good, creative constraint to go, "Well, how else could I
Yeah.
illustrate this point without visuals?" So,
Yeah.
it's like a skill of becoming a better communicator, really.
Yeah, and I like that. I mean, sometimes how I've thought about it, what I've told people is that if it's extremely visual, you got to think about that, but add the visual component, but but kind of produce it for the ear.
Yeah.
So for the person listening, if they can't see what you're talking about, they don't feel left out. Because I've been listening to podcasts where they're like, "Now you might want to just go watch this one on YouTube," and I'm like, "Well, you've kind of lost me now."
Yeah.
I'll go to one of the other podcasts that I rarely have time to listen to, thanks. And
Mhm.
then sometimes I'm not mentioning that, but,
Yeah.
so let's switch gears to AI, which I wonder I just now thought about this. This is the way my brain works, which is probably not is kinda scary that, the whole thing with AI, people forget it stands for artificial intelligence. It should be an oxymoron, shouldn't it? Like jumbo shrimp. So, I know I mean, my feelings of AI have actually been changing more and more recently to I'm not becoming anti-AI, but I'm becoming more um somewhat concerned. And then also just like how much do I really need?
Mhm.
I will share this first time ever announced anywhere, and then I'm gonna kick it over to you. I actually recently went in and deleted my chat history on ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude because and this could be a whole different deep dive, which I probably ought to do at some point. But I just thought, I just don't need that out there. And not that I was talking to it about anything illegal or anything, but it's just like I don't know. I just don't need it, and I'm not 100% sure it's not being used to train. That's a side note.
Mhm.
But I know, there's a ton of AI features coming for YouTube. There's a brand new AI actress
Yeah.
Lily Norwood that's been Tilly, Tilly Norwood, something like that. She doesn't care because she's not real that I got her name right. But just in general, I'd like to hear your take on where you are with AI, just in general. No judgment. We're in a no judgment zone, people.
Okay.
Okay.
I love AI. I think it's really interesting, but I also am a little bit like, wait a minute. What are we doing here? As content creators, as business owners, um, I like the idea of using, the tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude to help you be more efficient, more productive, even create better content, somehow improve what you're already doing, or even just like improve the emails that you send. Or I recently got an email from somebody asking for something, and I was trying to figure out how to politely say no and explain the no. So I went to ChatGPT. I was like, okay, he's asking for this, but this is like, how do I word it? And I got just the most fabulous response. And I was like, yeah, I love that. This is great. So I love AI for that. But I'm also not using AI to do things that are like totally out of my depth of, I'm not trying to remodel my house, or I'm
Yeah.
not using it for therapy or something that you really do need a professional for. So there's definitely a balance there. I am a little, I kind of feel like right now a big topic in my membership, Video Brand Academy, is thumbnails.
Mm.
And with Nano Banana, which can create images really realistic and really quickly, um, I can see how it YouTube could easily turn into all of these just like
Yeah.
really fabulous AI generated thumbnails. And then what's going to happen is like, well, you and I already in our thumbnails, we're kind of like, I'm just going to sit here in the thumbnail and not do anything crazy fancy in the thumbnail, because now there has to be like a contrast to stand
Yeah.
out with all the AI stuff. So I kind of feel like as soon as AI thumbnail generation gets like peaks and is
Hmm.
really good, it's going to immediately become less effective.
It's a
And
good point.
all of the like thumbnail design psychology, which I love talking about thumbnails, all of that stuff is going to go out the window, because it's going to be like, now how do we communicate all that without the colors and the arrows and the stupid YouTube face and all of that? So
Yeah.
it keeps us in business because you and I can evolve. We can try
Yeah.
new things and change. So on that front, it's kind of exciting, but also kind of like, let's maybe like rein it in a little.
Yeah.
you know?
It's funny. I heard somebody talking about this the other day. I've watched a couple of videos recently. In fact, one yesterday, Simon Squibb, I think it's his name, was interviewing Simon, the guy start with
Cynic.
Y, Cynic.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic video. And I agreed with a lot of what they were saying, but they were talking about just how sometimes AI will just insert things, and it made me think about, so when Ross Brand and I co-wrote Video Podcasting Made Easy, we actually recorded ourselves like this talking out the book, like we're just
Mm.
interviewing, talking to each other. We transcribed that. We took the transcription and we dropped it into some AI program. And what we noticed in reviewing it back is that sometimes it would be like, well, Ross, I think you were saying that. I didn't say that, because it would be clear something he was talking about is like, I wouldn't even have known that. And then there was one section where it had taken like a 5 or 10 minute dialogue between us. Dialogue? What am I, from the 1800s? Where we were talking. And then it had like put it in a paragraph.
Mm.
And because we decided, we were going to use it to assist us, but it wasn't going to write the book for us. So it kind of helped format it some. But then we spent actually probably more time going back and going, well, let's go back and look at the video. No, wait, didn't even say it, took all this out. And I think that's what people need to really get is that, you're asking a computer to kind of sometimes make the decisions for you. This is my take. that you should be making,
Mhm.
it doesn't care. It doesn't care that it just cut out something that might be gold or emotional you said. So I mean, to me, that's it. And this is something. This is a side note. I mentioned this to my wife the other day. I was so excited that I noticed this. Is that I did play with Nano Banana. I needed a graphic of social media logos being shattered,
Mm.
and I'm kind of now on the I'm not going to pay for Canva kick. We'll see where this is at some point. So I know I didn't have access to that. So I went in there and I said, kind of create this. And it took several times. I'm like, okay, I can work with that. I don't have a problem with that. But what I noticed is people say all the time, look what I created, or it created this. And I noticed is the prompt it gives you is generate, not create. And I thought that's more accurate to
Mhm.
me. And maybe it's, maybe it's not semantics. Anyway,
Semantics.
semantics. Thank you. And but it's like, yeah, you're giving it a prompt. You're saying generate. It's not really creating something. So I think
Yeah.
I don't know. That's where I am on that. I do think there's a lot of benefit for it, but I think it's easy for people to get too reliant on it.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree, and it's also moving so quickly that it's easy to for me, it's easy to be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm, like, so far behind because I didn't catch up on the latest AI news today," and this hour, and, then I have to, like, step back and go like, "Wait, no." Like, just the fact that we're even talking about it,
Mhm.
we're already ahead of the game. I do feel a little like, back I mentioned that I was into web design, so, like, in, like, 1995-ish, I had a GeoCities website, and
Oh, man,
so
I remember that, yeah.
I was in middle school, and I remember thinking, "Wow, it's really cool that I can just, like, code something here and then hit publish or whatever, save, and it's just live around the world." No one around the world was looking at it, but it was just like it didn't have to go to a printer and get printed and then out to people. It's just live. And I was so fascinated by that, but in 1995, as a middle schooler, I had no idea what the next 30 years would be like, the internet, but I kind of feel like that's where we are. We're on this, like, little edge of,
Mm,
I don't know what this is exactly, but it's kind of interesting, it's kind of cool.
yeah,
And I think it would be easy to go overboard and go, like, all out on AI, but I think just paying attention to
yeah,
what the news is and what you see, like, people actually doing with it is important moving forward. Because I think you and I, and anyone watching this is gonna have to almost kind of work a little harder to prove our humanness
mm,
and be more human in front of the camera. And I think you and I are good at this, just kind of talking, riffing, making mistakes, messing up words. AI is always going to go for perfection, and humans on camera, that used to be the thing, like, gotta
oh,
get your
yeah,
lines right, gotta strip the video, and then we gotta
yeah,
edit it. And I don't think we don't have to do that.
yeah,
And I think not doing that and just letting mistakes and the humanness kind of
yeah,
just let it all out. I think that's the way to go in the future, but it's again, like almost everything we've talked about today is like there's a
yeah,
balance, so you kinda have to pay
yeah,
attention to
yeah,
where you're
I
going.
love that, yeah. I mean, look, people, AI is not gonna make this. Give me a break. There'd be more hair here. I don't know, or I'd put my mullet back from the '70s. This has been fantastic. Where can people connect with you and find out more of the amazing Meredith Marsh that there is?
Well, on YouTube, that's the best place to find me. You can just find my name, search for Meredith Marsh, and that's where I'm at. That's where everything is.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here and dropping your knowledge. I love what you do, highly respect it, and I'm appreciative that you took the time to just hang out with me for this amount of time that we had.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Now I've got to stop the recording. Hey, that was fun. Did you have fun?
Yeah,
It's
of
always
course.
thankfully nobody has said no, Kevin. It sucked.